a mega region spanning the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, home to up to 45 million people, is being billed as Europe's answer to global city giants. This marketing vision is not cranes and concrete. It is a plan framed for promotion, and it is stirring global outrage and fierce debate. Is merging existing cities into one network the smartest move for Europe's future? Or a top-down design that threatens the identity, land, and control of millions? To understand the real stakes, we need to look beyond the headlines and trace the origins of this explosive idea. The headline numbers are everywhere. A mega region of 30, 40, even 45 million people is often described as if a single super city is about to be built across 3 countries. But the reality is far less dramatic and far more complicated. Tri-state city does not mean bulldozers lining up to pour concrete for a new metropolis. There is no single government blueprint, no joint parliament, and no official order to merge cities or erase borders. Instead, Tri-State City is a vision, a marketing frame that bundles together existing cities, towns, and infrastructure across the Netherlands, Flanders and Belgium, and Germany's Rhine-Ruhr. It asks the question, what if on paper these regions acted as one coordinated economic and urban system? Depending on where you draw the lines, the population covered by this vision shifts. The core triangle, Randstad in the Netherlands, Antwerp and Brussels in Flanders, and the Rhine-Ruhr cities like Cologne and Dusseldorf holds around 30 million people. Broaden the boundaries to include all of the Netherlands, Flanders, and North Rhine-Westphalia, and the number rises past 40 million. Stretch it even further, and the figure can top 45 million. This range, 30 to 45 million or more, reflects the flexibility and the ambiguity at the heart of the concept. It is not a fixed city, but a networked region, defined as much by marketing diagrams as by hard borders. Beneath the viral headlines, 3 status tags tell the real story: concept, marketing vision, and no single government build order. Tri-State City exists as an idea, not a construction plan. It is a pitch to think bigger about how Europe's most densely populated corridor could compete with the likes of Greater Tokyo or the US Northeast. But there is no legal act, no unified budget, and no formal authority steering this network toward becoming a single entity. What is actually being proposed is a new way of seeing the map. Instead of focusing on national divides, Tri-State City asks businesses, planners, and politicians to imagine Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Brussels, Antwerp, Cologne, and Dusseldorf as nodes in one vast, interconnected system. The hope is that by acting together on transport, energy, housing, and economic strategy, the region can punch above its weight on the world stage. But for now, Tri-State City remains a vision, not a mandate. The numbers on the population bar are real, but what they represent is a question of boundaries, definitions, and above all, imagination. Peter Savelberg, a Dutch consultant with a background in urban and economic development, stepped onto the scene in the early 20-teens with a bold pitch. What if Europe's most densely populated corridor could be reimagined as a single networked mega region? Savelberg called it the Tri-State City Network. It was not about erasing borders or building a new metropolis from scratch. Instead, Savelberg pitched coordination, using the strength of existing cities to create a green, connected world city. From the start, Savelberg leaned on the logic of the Randstad, where Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht function as a network rather than rivals. He argued that as global economic power clustered in vast urban regions, Northwestern Europe needed to act at the same scale. His early materials included white papers, triangle maps, and conference slides comparing the corridor to global giants like Greater Tokyo and the Pearl River Delta. He pointed to the economic muscle already present, around 30 million people living in the triangle, and by his estimate, about 150 billion euros in internal trade volume each year. While that trade figure became a headline in interviews and articles, there is no public breakdown or official source that verifies exactly how it was calculated. The number worked as a symbol, not as a certified statistic. Savalberg's vision gained traction among business groups and urbanist circles, especially those who saw the region's fragmented approach as a weakness in the global race for talent and investment. He spoke at industry events published online and built alliances with port authorities, universities, and innovation hubs. The pitch was always about making the most of what already existed: faster rail links, shared logistics, energy coordination, and denser housing near stations. He framed the corridor as a polycentric system, with each city playing to its strengths: finance in Amsterdam, logistics in Rotterdam, research in Leuven, heavy industry in the Ruhr. As the idea spread, the messaging shifted. By the late 2010s, materials softened, emphasizing that Tri-State City was a network vision, never a plan to merge governments or redraw borders. When viral headlines and online explainers began describing a claim about 45 million people, Savalberg and his allies pushed back, clarifying that the project was about branded strategy and strategic coordination, not bulldozing towns or imposing new authorities. Some of the bolder claims disappeared from public-facing websites, replaced by more careful language about collaboration and opportunity. Through all its iterations, Savalberg's Tri-State City pitch has remained a marketing vision, an invitation for cities and regions to imagine themselves as part of something bigger. The concept has fueled debate and inspired imitators, but it has also raised tough questions about what it would take to move from branding to reality and who gets to shape that future. Railways cut across the Netherlands, Flanders, and the Rhine-Ruhr, forming a dense web on the map. Yet beneath the surface, the system is fragmented. Trains cross borders at different speeds, guided by a patchwork of signaling systems, and timetables reflect national priorities more than regional needs. Freight from Rotterdam's vast port to the Ruhr's factories often stalls at border bottlenecks or waits behind passenger trains, exposing the gaps in what looks at first glance like a seamless network. Transforming this patchwork into a truly unified network city demands more than new lines or glossy diagrams. The vision centers on faster, more frequent rail, trains running every few minutes, not just once an hour. Amsterdam to Brussels, Antwerp to Dusseldorf, Rotterdam to Cologne. These routes would function as if they were city suburbs. Planners have set a target of 6 to 8 trains per hour on the busiest corridors. Today, most cross-border lines manage only 1 or 2. Achieving that leap requires major upgrades, new passing loops, quadruple tracking, and above all, a single digital signaling language. The focus is on frequency. That language is the European Rail Traffic Management System, known as ERTMS Level 2, a digital backbone designed to replace national systems and allow trains to glide across borders without stopping for technical checks or driver changes. The Betuwe route, a dedicated freight line from Rotterdam to the German border, already runs ERTMS Level 2 and handles up to 150 freight trains daily. Elsewhere, the rollout is uneven. Dutch, Belgian, and German programs each follow separate timelines, and full cross-border coverage remains years away. Digital coordination remains a central challenge. Passengers face their own hurdles. The Dutch OV chip card covers all trains, trams, and buses nationwide, but Belgium and Germany rely on separate cards and apps. Crossing a border means buying a new ticket, learning a new fare system, or turning to international booking platforms. The tri-state train linking Maastricht, Liege, and Aachen shows what is possible, a single regional service crossing 3 countries. Even here, passengers juggle different tickets depending on where they board. Ticketing remains a major barrier. Logistics is just as tangled. Rotterdam and Antwerp-Bruges two of Europe's busiest ports, move millions of containers and bulk goods each year. The vision sees them as twin anchors of a single corridor with streamlined rail and barge links to inland hubs like Venlo, Duisburg, and Liege. In practice, more frequent rail shuttles, digital data sharing, and harmonized customs are still needed to shift cargo from highways to rail and water. Ports and data must be integrated to make the corridor work. A Dutch rail engineer puts it plainly. The technology is there. What is missing is coordination. Without synchronized systems and political will, even the best hardware leaves trains idling at the border. Electricity and housing form the backbone of daily life in the tri-state corridor, but neither follows national lines. Across the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, a web of high-voltage power lines already ties together ports, cities, and industry. This is the 380 kilovolt ring, an interconnected grid that loops from Rotterdam's Maasvlakte through Antwerp, Brussels, and deep into the Rhine-Ruhr. It's not a single branded tri-state project. Instead, it's a patchwork of national upgrades and cross-border links managed by TEN-T, Elia, and Amprion. Each company invests billions to reinforce the system, aiming to keep pace with rising demand, industrial electrification, and the surge of offshore wind. Dutch landing points at Maasvlakte and Eemshaven, Belgian hubs like Zeebrugge and the planned Princess Elizabeth Island, and German interconnectors all funnel gigawatts of North Sea wind into this backbone. The combined price tag for grid reinforcement and new landing points easily clears 5 to 10 billion euros over the next decade, with each project critical to keeping the lights on and factories running across the mega region. Ports and heavy industry are not the only drivers. The tri-state vision also looks to the future of hydrogen. Rotterdam, Antwerp, Bruges, Amsterdam, Ghent, and the Rhine-Ruhr cluster are all racing to become hydrogen hubs. Plans call for gigawatt-scale electrolyzers and import terminals, feeding a new hydrogen backbone that runs alongside the high-voltage grid. Hydrogen pipelines would link coastal production to steel plants and chemical complexes deep inland, promising cleaner fuels and new industrial lifelines. These investments, too, are measured in billions, and each relies on the same web of cross-border coordination. But the energy system is only half the story. Where people live and how they move shapes the region's future just as much. Supporters of the network city argue that to avoid endless sprawl and farmland loss, cities must build up, especially near major rail stations. The model is transit-oriented development, denser housing, shops, and offices clustered within walking distance of high-frequency train lines. This approach, already visible in Dutch cities like Utrecht and Rotterdam, is now being promoted for mid-sized cities and border towns across the corridor. The goal is to channel growth into compact, well-connected neighborhoods rather than letting it spill across the countryside. Zoning changes near stations, higher building heights, and mixed-use districts are all on the table. Proponents say this is the only way to meet housing demand while protecting rural land and cutting car dependence. They point to the billions already set aside for grid and rail upgrades as evidence that the region is serious about integration. Critics, though, warn that densification can drive up prices and invite speculative investment, especially if not paired with strong social housing policies. The tension between preserving open space and making room for millions more residents sits at the heart of the tri-state debate. Every new substation, hydrogen terminal, or apartment block brings the corridor closer to acting as one system. Yet each project also tests the limits of local control, public consent, and the balance between growth and preservation. The technical requirements are clear: stronger grids, smarter zoning, denser housing, but the social questions are only beginning to surface. Tractors rolled through Dutch towns in 2022, blocking highways and city centers. Farmers, some wearing shirts with slogans about land and freedom, gathered in front of government buildings. Their anger was not just about new nitrogen regulations or livestock limits. It was about the sense that decisions about the countryside were being made far away by people who did not understand rural life. For many, the tri-state city vision became a symbol of that fear. Online, rumors spread that the corridor's farmland would be swallowed up by new rail lines, logistics parks, and dense housing. In protest speeches, the idea of a cross-border mega-region was painted as a threat to small family farms, local traditions, and the landscape itself. A farmer's representative from the south of the Netherlands put it simply, "We already feel squeezed by rules and city expansion. Now they talk about one big city from Amsterdam to Cologne. Where does that leave us?" The anxiety is not just about losing land, but about losing control over zoning, over livelihoods, over the right to decide what happens in your own backyard. In towns near new station developments, another pressure is building. Housing prices around Dutch and Belgian rail hubs have jumped, with some areas seeing double-digit increases in just a few years. Real estate ads now boast about proximity to high-speed lines and gateway to Europe locations. For young people and lower-income families, the result is a growing sense of exclusion. A small-town mayor in Limburg describes the dilemma. "We want better connections, but not if it means our children cannot afford to stay here. Investors are buying up apartments, and locals are pushed out." Identity runs through the debate like a thread. In border villages, people speak Dutch, Flemish, German, or a local dialect. They celebrate their own festivals and guard their own histories. The prospect of being folded into a mega-region, even as a marketing idea, feels like a loss of distinctiveness, a risk that local voices will be drowned out by distant planners and global investors. Identity matters to people on the ground. Environmental groups add another layer of concern. The corridor is already one of Europe's most urbanized and industrialized. More building, more traffic, and more logistics hubs could mean further strain on water, soil, and habitats. Critics argue that the promise of green growth is not enough if it accelerates the loss of open space and biodiversity. For some, Tri-State City is a chance to modernize and compete. For others, it is a warning sign, a reminder that large-scale visions often carry unseen costs for those who live closest to the land. The outrage is not just about policies or plans, but about who gets to shape the future and whose home is at stake. No single authority governs the tri-state city vision. The corridor cuts across the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany, each with its own parliament, ministries, and local councils. Planning laws, funding streams, and priorities differ not just between countries, but within them. Dutch provinces, Belgian federal and regional governments, North Rhine-Westphalia's Landtag, and dozens of city councils all claim a stake in what gets built and when. Patchwork frameworks are the default for cross-border projects. The Benelux Union, established in 1944, offers a platform for cooperation on trade and planning, but its decisions lack legal force. Euregio councils like Meuse Rhine and Rhine-Waal bring together neighboring regions for meetings and joint studies, yet they cannot push through major infrastructure on their own. Real momentum depends on European Union mechanisms. The Trans-European Transport Network, often called TEN-T, maps out priority corridors for rail and road, while the Connecting Europe Facility and Interreg programs provide co-funding for cross-border upgrades. Still, every project must secure approval from multiple national parliaments and ministries, each wrestling with its own budget and political pressures. A European Union official involved in transport corridors puts it plainly, they can co-fund cross-border infrastructure, but they cannot make three countries act as one. Even the most ambitious proposals, a high-speed rail link or a reinforced power grid, must be split into national segments, each facing its own planning, consultation, and permitting process. Funding remains fragmented. The European Union might cover 20 to 50% of a cross-border rail project, but the remainder comes from national and regional budgets, often strained by domestic demands. Port expansions, grid upgrades, and housing all compete for the same limited resources. Agreement on the need for integration rarely settles the details. Who pays for a new rail bridge at the border? Which country standards govern signaling, safety, or environmental review? How are costs and benefits divided? These questions echo across Europe wherever borders slice through dense regions. Here, the scale magnifies every disagreement. Over 30 million people, some of Europe's busiest ports, and a constant push for growth. For now, the tri-state city remains a vision shaped by negotiation and compromise. Without a single government to steer the project, progress depends on stitching together dozens of separate plans, each step slowed by the realities of divided authority and patchwork funding. Today, the tri-state vision exists as a concept, its borders drawn on paper, not on land. The debate it triggers is real. Who decides the future of Europe's cities, and at what cost to local identity and control? As global competition intensifies, these questions will not wait. The fate of this region may set a precedent for all of Europe. What is your take? Drop your thoughts below.